Hey everybody, it's Graham here from therecordingrevolution.com. And man, this cold, this has been going on for a week, but here we go. Got another video for you today. Got a question from a reader a couple weeks back about how do I handle breaths on a lead vocal? Do I edit them all out or do I keep them all in? How do I handle breaths? Now, let me say this. If you go listen to your favorite records, you're going to hear a wide variety of things. For instance, on one of the Gungor records, Beautiful Things, if you listen to that record, every single breath of his is cut out. So the moment he speaks a word, sings a word, that's when you first hear anything. You don't hear him breathing. You don't hear any ramping up. And typically, I'm not a fan of that because it sounds unnatural. On that record, somehow it works. Some records, everything's kept in. You can hear the in-between. You can hear the breaths. I like to go for a hybrid approach, a best of both worlds. And I'm going to just show you my workflow of how I handle breaths on a typical track. I don't do a ton of editing, so this is very good for you lazy people that just want to do a little bit that makes a lot of bang for your buck. Here's a lead vocal, raw by itself, well, with a little bit of reverb maybe.
Stand up, crawling's for losers. You should be stronger. Sister storm cloud who darts on your every thought, spilling his poison.
Right, now it has a couple of little breaths in between some words, quick ones. One of them kind of slowly, he's getting some air before he comes in. This is very typical. I think this is well recorded. You know, if I take away the delay and I take away some verb here, this is the dry vocal.
Stand up, crawling's for losers. You should be stronger. Sister storm cloud.
It's very natural. There's no reason to take out anything if you don't hear anything you need to take out necessarily, because in context with the mix, you don't notice the breath very much.
Stand up, crawling's for losers. You should be stronger. Sister storm cloud who darts on your every thought, spilling his poison. Tears out on your face.
So with this song, there's not much editing you have to do, but what I like to do is have control of the vocal. I want to know that there's no little ruffling of the clothes, there's no awkward breaths, that everything is controlled so that I can move on from the vocal and mix it. You know, I'm going backwards here. I've already kind of mixed this, but I still want it to sound natural. So this is the way I approach a vocal, right? I like to do a combination of trimming out stuff that's really pointless and then fading up and fading out stuff to keep it controlled yet natural. So let's go step by step for just a couple of moments here and you'll get the idea of my workflow.
Stand.
He comes in perfectly clean there. There's nothing you really need to do, but I'll trim maybe and put a fade up just to make sure there's no pops and clicks.
Stand up, crawling's for losers. You should be strong.
That breath is so light that it doesn't bother me. It's not distracting. Remember, editing is to help you get rid of distractions and to make sure things fit together well. So if there's no distraction, then it's fine.
You should be stronger. Sister storm.
Now these quick breaths, these catch breaths, I call them, these are kind of what make a vocal sound real. So when you can, leave them in, because in the mix, it's just part of the way you hear people sing.
Stronger. Sister storm.
Subjective, yes. Could you take it out? Sure. But I don't mind the quick catch breaths because they're natural.
Sister storm cloud who dark
Now that one, I'm probably going to break here after storm cloud.
cloud.
Break. Trim a little bit and fade up to the next word.
Storm cloud with dots on your every.
It's not much different, especially in the mix, but it's controlled. They're just going to hear they're basically just going to hear this line here.
With dots on your every.
You could trim everything up to that.
With dots on your every thought, spilling his poison tear.
This is another place where I typically ramp up fades after phrases. Spilling his poison. There's going to be piano going on here. Let's see.
Poison tear.
You don't need to hear a breath here. So to keep it a little more controlled, I'll break after poison.
Tear.
Trim about halfway. Fade up to tears.
Poison tears I won't.
Maybe I'll slack this out a bit and fade that out so it's a little more natural.
Spilling his poison tears I won't on your face like blusher.
Okay, this is typical, right? That's just the headphone bleed when he's tracking, and it's such a long pause where the piano's playing that he's kind of anticipating the next line. You don't need to hear this. In most mixes, you probably won't notice this, but if you've compressed this track or if you're about to mix it, you're going to compress the track, and that compression can overemphasize these little breaths, these little ruffles of the clothing, the kind of headphone bleed, and so I don't mind lots of compression on the vocal. That's what gives you a nice upfront, consistent vocal. What you don't want is that bleed coming through. So that's why a good editing session, phrases like this are so unnecessary. I'll just go ahead and take them out all the way to the next word because it's in between a phrase. Let's listen to it in context.
Blusher. All the years that you.
Right? You don't need to hear a breath there to make it feel natural.
All the years that you've been tied to this monster. He's gotten strong.
This one could be when you leave in because it sounds natural.
He's gotten stronger. Young.
And that breath, even though you barely hear it, doesn't need to be there.
Young.
Right before the chorus, you're getting stronger. Cut it out, fade up, have a nice clean intro, pop right into the chorus.
Young days when we made all those dreams. Is it too
And here's a good example where I might get rid of some of this breath here.
dreams? Is it too?
I might break it, fade it up. I don't mind hearing it. I just don't want to hear as much of it, okay?
Is it too?
Okay, here's a good example. The double breath. Let's get rid of the delays.
Dreams? Is it?
Because I did this crazy fade, you get the double breath. So what I would typically do if you're going to fade up a breath is get rid of the breath on the back end.
Dreams? Is it too late? Young.
There you go. And now you get a nice realistic breath.
Is it too?
But it's controlled. And you get the idea. What I'm trying to do is listen to the vocal in solo and then compare it to the mix to see if it really makes a difference and find those breaths that you notice too much. You shouldn't really notice a breath. Now, if you go listening for breaths after this video as like an exercise, you're listening to some of the records on the radio or some of your favorite songs, listen to how they treated the breaths. You'll hear breaths because they're there, but it's when you're listening to the song, you're engaging with the lyric, you're engaging with the emotion of the song and the music. You're not thinking about breaths, and so no breath should ever take you out of the song for a moment, okay? And that's what you're listening for when you're editing for vocal breaths, is you're finding breaths that for a moment you're like, oh gosh, he breathed. and you don't want to have to notice the breaths. You just want the vocal to sound natural. But most of the time, a natural vocal that you hear on a record isn't really natural. It's just been controlled like this. You've either taken a breath that's too loud and automated the volume down with clip gain or volume automation, or you do like I like to do where you trim up some and you ramp them up with a fade. It's controlled. And so you'll never have a distracting breath, even when you compress the vocal, but it still sounds lifelike and you're not trying to steal the realness or the rawness of the vocal. Just want to control it a bit. That way it can sound natural and it won't ever distract the listener. So that's my workflow. See if that helps you on a mix. Try it out and see if it kind of gets you a little bit closer to the vocal sounds that you hear on your favorite tracks. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to the videos if you like them. Give me a thumbs up if you like them. Share them if they're helpful to you. Maybe someone else would enjoy them as well. And of course, if you're a Patreon supporter, thank you for supporting me. It helps me keep making videos. If you don't know what the heck Patreon is, it is an incredible platform that helps people like me make free videos for you for years to come. So if you want to support me with $1 or more, you can head over to patreon.com/recordingrevolution. I got some rewards and bonuses there for people that sign up with even $1 of support. It'll help me keep making these videos for you. So I appreciate it in advance. And if you can't support, hey, no worries. Just watch the videos, get better at recording and mixing, and go make some great music this week. Have a great one. We'll talk to you soon.